What's going on, guys? Billy here, and today we're going to be going over 5 tips and tricks for the Mavic 2 series of drones. 5 tips and tricks that you probably didn't know existed, as they're sort of hidden features. Now, everything I talk about in this video will relate to both the Mavic 2 Zoom and the Mavic 2 Pro, and everything is also going to improve the functionality of your use of this drone. So let's stop wasting time and just get into it. This first tip has to deal with the camera and gimbal. Now, if you've flown any other DJI drone, you're familiar with its movement up and down. This is called pitching the gimbal and can be used to achieve cinematic movements with your camera or just get a look at something that's on the ground. Now, with the Mavic 2, we're able to spin the camera left and right as well as pitch it up and down. This is also known as a pan or yaw movement and is quite possibly one of the best hidden features of the Mavic 2. This very shot right here was achieved by panning the gimbal to the left as I flew my Mavic 2 Pro straight over the river. You'll actually notice at the very end here, the leg on the left side of the drone pops into the frame. Now, previously, this yaw movement was seen as a premium feature with DJI drones only being available on the Inspire 2, but now, to get to use this functionality on the Mavic Pro is seriously very helpful. To control the yaw movement of the gimbal, you'll need to swipe your finger across the screen with a hard press, which might not feel like the best way, and I hope they add some different ways to control this in the future, but for now it gets the job done and allows us to look around while up in the air. It's great for lining up the perfect shot, or in my case, flying the drone straight while pointing the camera to the side so that the obstacle avoidance sensors on the front are always keeping my drone away from potential danger. This next tip I actually just discovered the other day, despite all of the flight time that I've logged on both the Mavic 2 Zoom and the Mavic 2 Pro. Anyway, with the remote controller, we're able to focus the camera by half pressing the shutter button on the back. This was originally only available on the Phantom 4 Pro, as it mimicked the feature from DSLR cameras and works while taking photos and videos. The reason that I find this so helpful is not only because I can make sure all the shots that I shoot, the photos and videos, are in focus, but now it frees up one of these back customizable buttons. Originally, I had this one over here on the right mapped to center autofocus. So anytime I wanted to autofocus my drone, I tap this and it makes sure the camera was in focus. Now I can free up this button, use something else, and just use this shutter button by half pressing and making sure it's in focus. This next tip is pretty small. It was available on the original Mavic Pro, but wasn't available on the Phantom 4 Pro, as weird as that sounds, and now they've brought it over to the Mavic 2 series. Anyway, from this main flight interface, we can swipe to the left to access a small hidden menu. From here, we can shoot the gimbal straight up or straight down, and we can reset the home point to either the location of the drone or the location of the controller. At the bottom, we also have the ability to change the brightness of our mobile device. All of these settings can be accessed from different menus, but it's nice to have some of the most important things we can change at the swipe of a finger right from the main screen. My next tip for you guys is a 2-in-1 and deals with the remote controller. Now, first up, if we want to calibrate the compass, all we need to do is rapidly flip the side switch between sport and tripod mode. Move that switch up and down really fast and you'll notice the prompt pop up in the middle of the screen. This will work perfectly if you aren't using a mobile device yet still want to fly around and need to calibrate your compass. Now, this next tip has to deal with linking the remote controller and the drone. By pressing the back customizable buttons and the record button all in synchronization at the same time, the controller will enter binding mode and begin to beep rapidly. Now all that's left to do is press the pair button located on the underside of the drone, and your remote controller and your aircraft are now paired. Now, both of these processes can be done through menus on the DJI Go application, but I find it a lot easier to just use the remote controller instead of digging through menus. It's a much faster approach. This final tip that I have for you guys deals with upgrading and downgrading your firmware. Now, from the home screen, from that home menu on the DJI Go application, with your Mavic 2 turned on and connected to the remote controller, hold down on the 3 lines in the top right corner for 5 seconds and then let go. This screen that comes up will show us the current version that we're on and will allow us to upgrade or downgrade firmware if we wanted to. Right now, since the Mavic 2 literally just came out, we don't have the option to really do all that much, but as firmware upgrades are pushed out, we can manage our drone's firmware straight from the application instead of having to use the assistant application on our computers. This is something that is incredibly important to know, as down the line, if DJI implements some sort of firmware update that has a major flaw in it, you can just downgrade your firmware and still continue to fly your drone like usual. Anyway, guys, that wraps up my 5 secret tips and tricks, if you want to call them secret tips and tricks. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section if you guys have any other tips and tricks you want to give me or anybody else watching this video when they fly their Mavic 2. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.